about telling me your mom shouldn't be a mom. Growing up, my mom always complained about feeding me and giving me food. That was always an issue, but nobody ever believed me because when I show them my fridge, they would see her stuff. I wasn't allowed to touch her stuff. She has gotten CPS called on her 1,000,000 times because she has left me in parked hot cars in the summer in California. One time I wanted to go to her boyfriend's house for Christmas because they always gave me presents and stuff and she never really did. And all of a sudden I was ruining Christmas. Mind you, I was 6 years old. She punched me in the face when I was 8 years old because some person stole her wallet out of her bag, her open bag in Claire's because I wanted to go in Claire's. To this day, I still wish CPS took me away from her.
I work as an assistant for a really big fashion company. I had a defective wedding dress and my boss asked if I knew anyone we could give it to. My best friend recently got engaged, so it was perfect. When she posted on Instagram to thank me and my boss, my family caught wind of it, and that's when the influx of calls came. I do not have a good relationship with my family. My parents kicked me out when I was 16, and my sister wasn't much better. They demanded to know why I gave the dress to my friend and not to my sister. I didn't even know she was engaged. They suggested I try to take it back from my friend as family should always come first. My sister even tried to call my boss to complain. I just got off the phone with my mom, and this is how the conversation went. She says my sister is very upset about the dress, and I told her she needs to get over it. My mom says I can make it up to them by giving her another dress. I posted one last night on my Instagram. It's a $12,000 dress, and that's the one my sister wants. And I told her, you expect me to give you a $12,000 dress when you kicked me out when I was 16? My mom says, that was a long time ago, and we're talking about your sister, not me. When I refused to give the dress, my mom says the least I can do is help her buy one. At this point, I hang up, and I've been avoiding them since then.
Name a time your mother was extremely toxic to you in front of your family and ended up embarrassing herself. I will go first. So we had gone to the beach, all of us together. I didn't get to see this family very often, so I really wanted to go. My mother kind of gave me the, yeah, I guess you could go kind of thing. She really didn't want me to. After we had gone to the beach, I had realized I had left something behind because somebody had moved our stuff. It was a necklace that I didn't want to bring into the ocean because I didn't want to lose it. Anyways, we're back at the car. We're trying to change our clothes, get the sand out, blah, blah, blah. And I bring it up to them. I said, hey, have you guys seen my necklace? Have you guys seen my necklace? And my mom chimes in and is like, you don't need to be asking them where your stuff is. You should have been responsible for your stuff. And I was like, but mom, it got moved. And she's like, I don't care. We didn't want you on this trip anyways. Part 2. Okay, part 2 to my second video. So, anyways, she's like, you don't belong here. You weren't supposed to come. Nobody wanted you here anyways. It would have been much better if you just stayed home. You're an embarrassment to me and you're just irresponsible, and that's why it's so hard to take you places, so hard to have you around, blah, blah, blah. Just continuously berating me in front of my family to the point where I'm on the verge of tears. My aunt walks over and a couple others, they start comforting me, and she's just like, what are you doing? She doesn't deserve that. She ruins everything. This is what happens when I bring her with me and my fiance, my stepdad. And they basically looked at her and said, you know, we wanted her to come. There's no reason you should be treating her like this. She was more than welcome to come, and I'm glad that she came. And she kind of just huffed and pouted and said that I ruined her whole family relationship that day.
When I was younger, there was a girl I knew who lived in our neighborhood. None of the kids liked her because they claimed that she stinked and acted weird. When they talked about her, I kind of felt bad, so I became friends with her. Yeah, of course, I got the, why do you hang out with her? But she really wasn't all that bad. But her scent, they were kind of right about that. One day, she invites me over to her house, and she was very excited because she told me I was the first person to ever come over. And I felt so honored, so I went. But when I went into her house, it smelled very bad, almost nauseating, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be rude. Honestly, it was like 4 to 5 families in one house, to be honest. But she first introduced me to her stepmom. I said hi to her, but she just stared at me in disgust. Then we went to her room to play. As it got later, I told her I needed to go home. But she begged me to stay longer because she was scared. I told her I'd come tomorrow, and she just starts crying. She runs into her bed and falls into her sheets, which lifted her skirt. There were bruises all over her thighs. Let me know if y'all want a part 2. Part 2 about the girl I know who lived in my neighborhood. So it's late and it's time for me to go home. She said she was scared and starts crying. Then she runs into her bed and flops into her sheets. Her skirt lifted and there were bruises all around her thighs. I ask her, what happened? She looks down and quickly pulls her skirt over her bruises. I ask, did someone do that to you? And she says she can't tell me. I ask why. She responds, if I do, they're going to hurt me. So I ran downstairs to her stepmom and told her what I saw. She sits and laughs in my face. I was so confused and asked her, are you going to help her? And she tells me that I actually should be going home. So I went into the living room where her uncles were and told them. One of them had said, that's why that girl don't need to be bringing random folks into the house, and runs upstairs to her room. One of the other uncles asks, you want to get popped? I shook my head in fear and said no. And he yells at me, telling me to go home. From there, I ran home and never came back. And after that day, she never came back outside. It's been 7 years. To this day, I wonder what happened to her.
So about a month and a half, 2 months ago, my mom got into my bank account. Now, she was not an authorized user. She had no legal right to do that, so that was a crime that was committed. Now, she didn't steal anything from me. That used to happen a lot in high school, actually. My parents would log into my bank account and then use my money to pay their bills, even though they made, like, so much money. But what she did this time was move money from my checking to my savings, then from my savings to the checking, and back and forth and back and forth. At the end of it, she left it with $0 in my checking account, and I think what she wanted was for my card to decline at a store, and then for me to, like, have an inconvenience or something. My mom is a narcissist, and since I've gotten no contact, this is a way that she was trying to assert control. After that situation, I completely withdrew all of my funds from that financial institution. The teller involved was fired, and now I bank at a different institution. And I can only imagine what kind of conversations my family's been having about that.
This video is brought to you by having the world's worst mother-in-law. But seriously, my mother-in-law, I found out yesterday, has continued to send emails to my PhD program, which is my employer, saying that I'm not upholding the standards of my PhD program and that I'm a cyberbully because I called out her abuse on my TikTok account. But, you know, we've been through that before. We can handle that. But this time she really decided to up the ante because she decided to tell my employer that I have told all of my followers to go and harass her and to send her death threats, and that I want people to offer to beat her up on my behalf. Like, this is like a Lifetime movie, but real life. And it's my life. And I can't believe that sometimes.
When I was 6 years old, my family moved to Virginia because my dad had a new job opportunity. We moved to this really old house that every step that you took, you'd hear the floorboards cracking. During the summer, I met this girl named Lucy. She knocked on my door one day and asked if I wanted to play, so for weeks, me and Lucy grew closer. We'd play hopscotch, jump rope, hand games, and hide and seek. One day, we were getting ready to play hopscotch, and my mom came outside telling me to come in and eat dinner. I asked my mom if Lucy could come too. My mom had asked, who's Lucy? I looked back at Lucy and I said, she's right here. My mom replied, right where? When I turned back around, Lucy disappears. I called out for Lucy, but my mom yells out, there isn't anyone out there. Get your butt in the house. It's time to come eat.